Want to get trading like I do on a trustworthy exchange that actually cares about what their customers' opinions and feedback is? Look no further. DueDEX is a new exchange that prides themselves in putting their users first, and they are very upfront about everything that they do. They are quoted in saying it's all about being fair to our customers and creating that level of playing field for our traders. Sign up below with the link in our description and you can get up to a $110 trading bonus with qualifying deposit. What are you waiting for? If you're watching all of our analysis videos and tutorials, isn't it time to put your own skills and knowledge to the test? All right, everybody, how are we doing? Cobra Trading here for Aedge Capital, and today is Friday, February 7th. It's about 3:30 here on the East Coast. I'm doing the analysis just a little bit late, so I want to go ahead and just get right into it. Right now, we're looking at the weekly Bitcoin chart, and currently we're sitting at about 97.50. We've been having a little issues here getting and breaking above and holding above 9,800, but I expect that to be happening pretty shortly here, especially looking at this weekly chart, right? So our RSI is sitting right in the middle, and we're still holding above in bullish territory on our weekly MACD. So pretty good stuff here. There really isn't enough data here on this momentum indicator for this to be much of use right now, but this is an extremely bullish formation of candles here, right? We had this big drop down, then we had a giant bullish hammer here and a massive bullish candle upwards. And for this month so far, we're starting with quite a bullish candle. So that's pretty much where we stand with the weekly chart. I know a lot of people are drawing this trend line here. Obviously, we've broken through this, so everyone's expecting some kind of a retest of this. Now there's this trend line, and then there's also people that have been drawing it like this, is kind of from our all-time high down to our second high and stuff like that. So this is definitely the next level to be watching for, which is about, I guess, once this monthly candle closes, if we test this first and then we reject it the first time, that's totally okay, just as long as we don't start falling below about 8,300 again. If that does happen on the weekly charts, then the area to look forward to again is 7,200. That area has been very, very important as support and resistance all through in terms of historical support and resist levels. So that's pretty much the weekly chart. And on the monthly chart, on the weekly chart, we've had quite a few weeks here, pretty much an entire month of just really, really bullish candlesticks here, right? So pretty much what I said last week, I can actually change this over to green now. This is actually support, and our next immediate level of resistance is about 10,200. So when we made our initial drop from our 14K high, we used our 6,500 level as support. Initially, I was calling for about 7,200, and we ended up wicking all the way down to our point of control here, which was about 6,400 before we saw this giant reversal. We had kind of a spinning top here, then we had a big doji, and then it was just off to the races, and we've broken through this level of support now. So what I would expect to happen off of this weekly chart is I would expect this candle to close above support and potentially next week either retest this level of support here at about 9,500 and come in for a small retrace, or come up and test about 10,000, 10,200 before we retest this. So I think we're going to be in this zone for quite some time here. This is definitely a major area of both bullish and bearish momentum. There's a lot of supply and demand in this area. It's a very high volume area of price. So if we look at our indicators here, all of these are looking quite bullish, right? Our MACD is already crossed bullish, and we're in bullish territory here. Our momentum oscillator has moved over and it's starting to come up towards the bullish territory. And our RSI, or is this my SMI? My RSI up here, it's already well above the 50 mark, and we've got plenty of room to come up further. There's plenty of upside on our RSI indicator up here. So those are all definitely very, very positive and very, very bullish things. But as we start getting into these lower time frames like this daily chart, the question still remains is, are we going to be seeing some kind of reversal? Now, that always seemed to be the question when we were looking at the last uptrend that we had up to 14K, and everyone was waiting for this big correction, and it just never really seemed to happen. So what I'm telling everybody, and what my opinion is don't end up missing out on the bull trend, right? You know, I posted on Twitter a couple days ago that a lot of the same people that I saw that said that they were bullish once we broke, like 8.2, are the same people now that are saying, oh, well, I'm bullish once we break 10K. Well, if those people truly did not trade any of this, they really missed out on a lot of profits here. You know, if you were waiting for 8.2 to break, it broke here on this candle, and you know, you could have shorted this retrace when we hit major resistance, made money there. And then once it found support down here at 8,200, again, you could have relonged this and still been riding this entire thing. Crypto Tony in the Aedge group has made some fantastic long calls in this. I believe our group and our paid members have been in this long since about $83 or $8,500. It's absolutely incredible, and this is still going. I think one of our top targets is about $10,000, where obviously that's the highest level of resistance and stuff. That's the next immediate level of resistance that we're going to see. So this is kind of iffy right here, down here, this MACD, right? So if we zoom into this and we look real closely, we can see that, yeah, sure, we're dipping below our zero line here, but it's also starting to curve back up, which means that even though this line, this bottom line here, has moved down into bearish territory, if this curves back up and we don't see both of these lines cross below into bearish territory, then I'm still pretty bullish on this. Obviously, scalping and stuff like that, you know, scalping small retraces like this, yeah, sure, of course you can do that, especially on a daily chart that still holds potential for quite some profits, especially if trading on leverage. You know, if you were able to short even from 94.50, you know, and catch this down, it went all the way down to about 91.50 or so. All right, sorry about that. I had a package that was arriving. So anyway, we bounced around and we kind of used this level, this box that I've had drawn for quite some time. I went into this in one of my last videos, and we just kind of bounced around in here for a while. Once we closed above this, we haven't even really retested this box yet. We just kind of floated around in here for a while, used the bottom range as support, and then blew right out of it. We haven't really retested the top of this. And again, that's right around $9,500. So in terms of, you know, like short-term scalping and stuff like that, this would definitely be the area that I would be looking at to hold support is $9,500. So if we're looking close, and this is a correct count up to a wave 5, we've got the potential that our wave 3 is extended, and this is either we're topping out at a wave 5 here, or we're going to push up higher to about 10,200 and test these upper highs of this Great Wick of China that we previously had. We did have this classic chart pattern right here, this massive cup and handle. I'm assuming for right now that this was our handle. Of course, this could be a continuation of the cup, and we could see something like this happen where our handle is up here, and this entire thing is just a really, really extended long cup and handle. And I think for right now, this is definitely possible, because normally cups and handles take months and months and months to form. And obviously from back here, this is already back into October. So this kind of situation, I think, is definitely a possibility. But however, right now, I'm still looking at it like this, that, you know, we had this down channel here to form our wave 4, and this was our handle, and now we're coming up to complete a wave 5. So if we work our way down the time frames and we start looking at our 12-hour chart, just to get a little more information on our charts up here, we can see that once we broke out of this channel, we came up, we retested this support at about 9,200, like I said, and then we came up further. So the bearish divergence is a little more pronounced on this time frame, I think, especially in terms of getting higher highs in price and lower highs on our RSI and on our MACD and stuff. The RSI wasn't nearly as pronounced on the 12-hour. However, the 12-hour MACD is turning around very sharply, and it looks like it's about to come in back into the, into this normal zone here between 70 and 30 from being overbought. Working our way down further onto the 4-hour, you can see still that this volume is definitely tapering off up here. There isn't very much volume below this $9,700 level. We actually just kind of like jumped really fast from 95 all the way up to 9,800. So that $300 jump was definitely pretty significant. And our 4-hour chart is just coming back in to, this normal range on the RSI from being overbought. The point of control is still obviously the same right here. And it looks like our MACD and it looks like our MACD here, sorry about that, that our MACD is going to be crossing back over into bearish territory. Now, we got the bullish cross here, or the bearish cross, excuse me. We got the bearish cross here on this candle before our uptrend had finished. And there is slight bearish divergence here again on this RSI chart. Again, it's very, very slight. It's nothing to write home about or really, get too excited about, but it's definitely obvious that the momentum is starting to taper off here. Our momentum starting to turn over. Our MACD is already looking at crossing into bearish territory. Now, the last time that we saw this happen, we got a bearish cross. I'm going to use back here as an example, right? We got this bearish cross here, pretty much in this area. Let me, it's a little more. We got it pretty much right here as our trend was still going up. And then even though this entire momentum, this entire MACD indicator, even though this was going down, we were still getting an increase in price here. We actually ended up coming all the way up to almost $9,600 while we were still coming down. But the MACD stayed bearish, right? Even on this candle right here, when we got this big pump up in price, we got this one little cross here, but we stayed bearish. And then as the price was coming down, we actually had the momentum oscillator coming back up. So that's bullish divergence, right? So we were getting this increase in price and this decrease in RSI, and then we ended up just kind of going sideways instead of having like a real correction. And then here we had this decrease in price with this increase in the MACD, making a lower low in price and a higher low on our MACD indicator. So it's definitely possible that given this last example and what we just saw, that could very well be happening again, that we got this bearish cross, and myself and a lot of other people are now expecting, some kind of correction. We got very, very close to $10,000. I think from our high point, we were really only $150 away from touching 10K. And a lot of people are expecting, some major correction to be happening, at least down to, 9,500. If that doesn't hold, down to about 91 or 9,000 to be testing these areas in here again. And it's definitely possible that we have this same scenario where, our MACD crossed and we end up just going sideways here, and we get some wicks up and down. We get some short and some long liquidations in this area, and we kind of have some more, this is bullish consolidation. We didn't really break below our last price point. We didn't really make closes below our last price point here before we broke up. So this level of support and resistance here was very strong, and we ended up breaking up out of it, kind of moving sideways. We retested it before we moved up higher. So scalping opportunities on the small time frames. Obviously, if you're range trading like this is a very difficult thing to do. A lot of this is also due to funding and stuff like that. The funding right now is through the roof on most exchanges. The funding is very, very high right now. Longs are paying an incredible amount of money to be keeping their positions open. And I think that's also going to be contributing to if we start seeing some kind of correction or not, is the funding rates for having these long positions open is getting so high that the whales that have massive positions open are just getting tired of paying the funding over and over every 8 hours, every day or whatever, to keep these massive positions open. So This chop is, probably a lot of scalpers and a lot of bigger whales averaging in and out of their positions and stuff like that. I wouldn't expect a major move to the downside until this immediate level at about 9,700 breaks. If we start getting closes below 9,700, then I think that a little bit of panic would set in, and I think 9,500 would be a very good possibility. The overall trend on the higher time frames is definitely still up, but if we start seeing the 12-hour turnover here, if we get a really pronounced lower high on the MACD on our 12-hour, and it looks like we're going to get another bearish cross here, then yeah, I would definitely expect the daily and or the weekly time frames to start turning over as well. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have for you today. Remember, if you're scalping, make sure that you're planning your trade and trading your plan. Take care, guys. Hope you have a good weekend and happy trading.